Hey there, I'm in Madison, Indiana. This is one of the most historic towns in Indiana and on the Ohio River. And in this video I'm going to go into the Francis Costigan house behind me. He was the most important architect here in town, and then I'm going to go walk around, see some of the other historic sites around town. So first I'm going to head in here. He lived in this unusual Greek Revival townhouse. He had to work with a small plot of land 22 feet wide, but he did a lot with it. The massive wooden front door is actually a sliding pocket door. Francis Costigan was born in 1810 in Washington, D.C. and worked as a carpenter in Baltimore. Then he moved to Madison in 1837. Two of Madison's wealthiest men, banker James F.D. Lanier and riverboat captain and mayor Charles Shrewsbury, hired him to design mansions for them. These two commissions made him well known in Indiana and created two of the most incredible buildings in Madison. He built this home in 1850, so he only lived here for 2 years. In 1851, he moved to Indianapolis and built several great buildings. He designed the Institute for the Education of the Blind, which got torn down. The Bates House, where President-elect Abraham Lincoln stayed in 1861, that got torn down. And the Gatling Gun Club, which still survives but is abandoned. This is an aspect of his genius. The walls in the parlor curve at its corners. It creates an illusion that the room is a lot larger than it actually is. Also, the super high ceiling helps with that effect. Even the carpentry is masterful because the giant wooden door curves perfectly with the wall. This was the dining room. He also designed and operated the Oriental Hotel across from Union Station, and that also got torn down and is where the Le Méridien Hotel is now. He died in Indianapolis in 1865. An engraving of George Washington. This is out the back window. You can see just how narrow the plot of land is. The main staircase narrows as you go up. It is also a double staircase, which is an interesting feature. And this fence here was so that you didn't fall down one side in the dark. A very ornate thermometer. This was Costigan's bed chamber. Even the closet is super interesting. The top of the door frame is slanted. This room may have been his architectural studio, so they have some blueprints and engravings of some of his buildings. This is a peach tree along the sidewalk. These are peaches. They're gross. This is 3rd Street. It's one of the historic residential streets that have been restored for the most part. This is a cool home. This is the Graham Mickle house, 1834. It's the only house I've ever seen with this certified rehabilitation from the Department of the Interior. And this building is the Washington Fire Company number 2. See, it has a bell on top. This building was built in 1848, and it is the oldest firehouse still in use in the state of Indiana. Once I got to go in here into the main fire truck room, that was cool to go in there. Alright, this behind me is Broadway Fountain. This was originally built in 1873. I think this is a recast from the 1980s, so it's not the original fountain. But the firm that made this, they designed it off the fountain at the Place de la Concorde in Paris and the Crystal Palace in London. And there are 4 of these made. One of them is at Forsyth Park in Savannah, Georgia, that can be seen in the movie Forrest Gump. I really like these old fountains that have all this detail in them. Yeah, on the sign it was recast, so it's not quite the same as having the original. I wonder where the original is. That'd be cool to see. The United Methodist Church here was designed by Francis Costigan. Really beautiful church. This is sad, right across from the fountain there. It's supposed to be really nice, right? Nope, there's an abandoned old house here. Smells different from all the rest. It's got this chain fence around it. Though I keep looking out for abandoned places, I don't think I'm gonna try going in this one. That one needs to be fixed up. This is the town's visitor center. Right outside the Lanier Mansion is a newer memorial to the Civil War, made in 2006. A little late. I guess these are the names of all the men from Jefferson County who died during the war. Those are some old warehouses, and that pool and that stone building were built by the WPA during the Great Depression. The historic Broadway Hotel and Tavern was established in 1834, so that makes it the oldest surviving hotel and tavern in Indiana. The hotel title is questionable because it's not really a hotel anymore. From my understanding, they will occasionally let people spend the night in one of the old rooms. But the tavern part is still going 184 years later. It makes for a great spot for lunch in Madison. It's a cool old Jeep along here. I think that's a Willys. I think this was the old livery stable for the hotel. The house across the street is the Schofield House, and it is the oldest Masonic lodge in Indiana. The house is a museum. I have been inside. It's cool, but I just don't have time this trip. Here's the historical marker, January 12, 1818. Some Freemasons met in a second floor room. And that is the historic Talbot Hyatt house. The home is owned by Historic Madison. It's not a museum, but they do have a early 19th century garden open to the public. So this is not looking in the best of shape. Looks like they cut pretty much everything down, but these are plants that would be common at households in early 19th century Madison. And this was maybe a well at some point. This is another very historic home here in Madison. It's the Charles Shrewsbury Windle House, designed by Francis Costigan. Charles Shrewsbury was a wealthy riverboat captain, and the house itself is a National Historic Landmark. And you can get an appointment to tour it. I still have not done that, but I will someday. This is the old Central Hotel. It's very colorful. some movie history. The movie Some Came Running, starring Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin, was filmed here. This is an old neon electric lady. I wonder if this was a strip club. That's the old Madison Bank building. Very cool. There's quite a few antique shops in Madison. I was hoping to get to one, but they all close at 5 and it's now 5, so. That abandoned Syracuse Lodge building with the castle-like turret is really cool. And this is the Jefferson County Courthouse designed by David DeBach in 1853. About the same time and about the same exact design as the Switzerland County Courthouse, which is the county east of here. So they're pretty much identical courthouses, but they have some different monuments. We're gonna go check those out. I do like the golden cupola dome on top. I know like 10 or 20 years ago it caught on fire, so that is new. Speaking of the fire, this was the bell that was up in the dome and it survived the fire. I like going to courthouses and seeing their monuments. This one has a very unique monument. They have a miniature Statue of Liberty. This one is red, and it was donated by the Boy Scouts of America in 1950. Here's their nice war memorial. I like this part of the monument. I have not seen a sculpture like this. Usually it's like some machine gun, someone put a little stone that says love right there. And that is in the shape of a folded American flag. The flags are at half-staff today because it is the day of Senator John McCain's funeral. This is a monument to Lieutenant General Walter Kruger, who was born in Russia, raised here in Madison. He was in the Spanish-American War. Attended the surrender ceremony on the USS Missouri when Japan surrendered. He's buried in Arlington. And you can see that quote that General MacArthur said about him. This is a monument to Samuel Woodfill. I talked about why he earned the Medal of Honor in my Jefferson County Historical Society video. Let's go check that out. I didn't know he died in Vevey, Indiana. I'm very, very familiar with Vevey. And he's buried in Arlington too. And this is really awesome. This is their old Civil War monument. That is a very cool sculpture. It might have been done by Rudolf Schwartz, the German who made all the statues on the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in Indianapolis. And the shell was fired into Vicksburg during the siege. So Madison is one of the best preserved historic towns on the Ohio River, and it itself is a National Historic Landmark District. So all this area down here is part of a National Historic Landmark. This city got big because of the steamboats heading over to St. Louis and New Orleans, and then this is how you got to the east, Pittsburgh. This is a historical marker on the first chartered bank in Indiana, which was here, the Farmers and Mechanics Bank of Madison. This is the old highway that used to go into Madison. This used to be the only way from the north. And right along there is this little waterfall going off the cliff. It's very cool. Clifty Falls State Park is pretty close to here. They have some other waterfalls similar to this. Found some graffiti here. I'm not sure what the name is, but it looks like it says 1907 right there. And this is the Key West Shrimp House where I'm having my 17th birthday dinner. So along with river trade, industry was very important here. They would export a lot of stuff out of Madison. And there was a lot of butchering that happened around this area that I'm in. They killed about 120,000 hogs a year. So it smelled very bad, as you could imagine. I've also heard stories that Cincinnati did a lot of butchering there. The river would run red with pig's blood, like all the way down to here sometimes. And here's the Ohio River. Found this on the river. This is interesting. Are these aren't car rims, I don't think. I don't know what those are. This town grew so much because of river trade. Just imagining all the thousands and thousands, maybe millions of steamboats and interesting people who have come right along here. That is the new Milton-Madison bridge. It's the first time that I'm seeing the new bridge. Actually, no, it's not. I've been on it since it was built. But what they did here was very interesting. So they built the new bridge kind of to the side of the old bridge, which was at the exact same spot, and really looked about the same. I don't know why they needed a new one. But what it was really interesting, it's kind of like an engineering feat what they did. So they built it next to it, had temporary pylons, and then they kind of blew up the old bridge, took that out, and then slid the new bridge onto the old pylons. And that's the new bridge. It's all complete now. It was cool when they had the new bridge built, but they hadn't moved it over yet. You could drive along the old bridge, and then the new bridge would be like directly next to it. Also, those smokestacks used to be the tallest in the world. Alright, so that was the Francis Costigan house, which is really interesting. And what I saw in Madison today, there's a lot more here that I did not film in this video or my other ones that I shot here today. I shot 4 other ones. There's a lot to see. I could probably spend 2 full days more here filming stuff, so I'm definitely gonna do that at some point. But anyways, if you like this, please check out my other videos, and thanks for watching.